Hello, chaps. How's everyone doing? Good to see you, Simon. Good to see you, Burge. What have you been up to in the last week? Just going to quickly throw in to the 6 people that have joined us already, which is actually quite surprising because it takes a bit of time for this stream to pick up some steam. Clearly, there are things picking up in crypto. This is going to be a great live stream today. $600 million added to the market cap of NFTs. Obviously, all the majors are probably up to the highest levels they have been in the last 2 years. So this is going to be a really exciting one. Hopefully we get a whole bunch of people join us. But just to the early people that have dived in, just do me a massive favor. I know it helps the algorithm a little bit, but if you could share the stream out on whatever platform you're listening to it on, would really appreciate that. But Simon, what have you been up to in the last week, my friend?
Well, today while my son is still asleep in bed, 16 years old, have got up
It's
early.
2:30 in the afternoon, mate.
I know.
He sleeps later than Burge.
I know. Yeah. And the thing is, he is going to sixth form next week, so I'm going to let him off because it all starts at A levels. But in that time, this morning, I got a train up to Liverpool, took my daughter, because even though she's 20, she still wanted me to go with her to the doctor.
Yeah.
Because she was having an injection and she had not really had one, like a proper taking blood injection.
Yeah.
And she was there for about 2 minutes and then was out. And I said, is that all? So I you got 2 tickets up to Liverpool, cabs, coffee, croissants, just to take her to a doctor's in Liverpool. And then I came back to Stafford. So that's been my morning, and I'm going to get my son up after the live stream.
I got to say, 2:30 in the afternoon, that's a decent shift. I think Burge usually surfs about 1 in the afternoon, which means you just make
someone was messaging me recently. They said, it's a bit late where you are, right? And it's because I was messaging all these people from America. And, you know, I'm messaging them at 5 a.m. because for them, that's like the end of their day. So it's the best time to get to them. A lot of like V-friends, people I know, but that causes me to rise late in the next day.
That's all. So, but we were just chatting off air there that you actually had to get. Did you get blood or something, or you had an?
I had exactly the same as Simon. I had an appointment. They had to take blood, right? And I don't like when they take blood. I'm not a big fan of needles, but the blood itself, I actually don't mind. So I could see blood, that'd be fine. The needle I looked away from, so I thought, it should be fine. She asked me a few times, she was like, do you want to lie down? I was like, no, I should be fine.
I think she was trying to tell you something.
Well, I've had a bad experience before, so I did know, and I did tell her that, to be fair. And so they take the blood. It's the sensation of the blood leaving it is genuinely, like, I think the thing that gets me. So I was there, just sitting there. She kind of like, she's done it already. She's like, oh, when do you think it stopped? I was like, oh, I don't know. Did it just stop? Like, has it finished? And she was like, stopped a while ago. Like, we finished. And then she's staying next to me. Honestly, I don't know how to describe it. The next moment, I've woken up. There's 3 women in the room, and I don't know where I am. Like, my brain is trying to catch up to like, how am I here?
Simon, that must have been like a tranquilized giraffe in there because he's
it's like smashing everything.
Mate, Bird, I can just imagine your legs going, mate, honestly, because you're the fucking tallest bloke I've ever met, bud. I think you're actually the tallest person I know.
Can I just say, therefore, you fainted?
Yes.
Big grown man faints. And my 20-year-old daughter, who wanted me to take her to the doctors, came out and said, that's it, done.
Yeah.
That's great. It's nice to compare and contrast.
They did tell me I should have eaten breakfast, which is probably a good point. I also hadn't drunk much. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the sensation of like them taking the blood. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I love that. I've gone and given blood before, and I tried. And then if you are born in Africa, which I am, I can just tell you right now, it's very difficult to give blood because they see that on there and they're like the vetting process. Then all of a sudden they come with another folder that you got to fill out, and you're like, okay, actually, I'll just fucking knock this on the head, guys. So yeah, Simon, I'm looking at your face. Guys, just the 29 of you who've joined us early. Obviously, we get some really good momentum by sharing the live streams. So we really appreciate it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please just share it. Also, you're more than welcome to ask questions in the chat. It filters through. Obviously, as we're talking, we'll feature it up on the screen. Simon, we were talking off air slightly about, I don't know, did you go on a date by any chance? Is that something we can talk about, or is it off limits?
Yeah, I spoke to a lady when my daughter had. I spoke to a lady. I spoke very, very English, and then my daughter said, "Here's a phone," and I said, "Thanks." She gave me my phone, and it was this person, and I just answered it, and we exchanged a couple of messages, and she was very nice. We talked for about 40 minutes, and she was very nice. But tomorrow I am meeting someone else that I arranged to, who is a parent, was a parent, or is a parent, but her child used to go to my theatre school before I sold the schools. And she got back in touch, we bumped into each other. She said, "Oh, Simon, hello." And I don't know why I made that voice. But
Simon, I reckon you're a bit of a machine, mate. I reckon back in the day you would have just like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, those are the days. But anyway, so yeah, there's a little bit of dating going on.
Good to hear. You know, we're all working on our dating lives here. Burge is a bit more reserved about what he's up to, but we're not allowed to speak about that. So last night I had an amazing call with the Crypto Skulls NFT founder Alex Sayer. It was incredible because I had a Russian translator. I had two Russian translators, and the call was amazing. Obviously, in the Carrot Lane founding group, that's a historical project. We'll talk about that obviously later on in the show. But again, just to the 39 of you, just do me a massive favor. Please just share this on whatever platform you're listening to it on. We're going to talk about everything Bitcoin, crypto, a little bit of the macro stuff, some of the geekier stuff in the NFTs, which to me is just far more interesting. Guys, obviously, crypto prices have been pumping. It feels like a shot in the arm because there's a whole bunch of people playing the 4-year cycle saying, no, the lows are going to be in October. There's still people hanging their hat on that same wrong thesis because it's quite clearly recovering because it's just too much of a clean break to the upside. Interestingly, that the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, is buying back US Treasury. So they're buying back their own debt. It's a bit like a soft stimulus play, which is obviously sent a good signal to the crypto market or risk assets, which are now rising. All exciting stuff. Did we expect it this early, guys?
I
don't think we did.
I think early. No, I think we were saying the last couple of weeks. What you just said, Jaden. I think probably we're going to go down, and then in October we'll start to come up. But who knows what's going to happen between
that's
now
called
and
sitting on the fence, Simon.
I know. No,
but that's how quickly the narrative.
That's
how quickly the narrative can change, right? Like all you need is like the number to go up a bit. Like we've got this like bump in crypto. We've had this bump. And obviously that's led to a bump in NFT prices as well, dollar NFT prices. And as soon as that number goes up, people start feeling a bit better. They're like, well, this was always going to happen, you know, like they justify it, like and it like validates like their conviction the whole time. And then the kind of like the negativity and the I guess like the lack of confidence kind of just fades away. It just fades away, and they're like,
"It's almost forgotten about. It's forgotten about like the pain that you went through." It's funny, like I've seen a bit of that behavior with some of the stuff covered on Michael Saylor. 2 weeks ago, they were talking about him going out of business because he was in a 9 trillion loss on his Bitcoin holdings. Then all of a sudden, you have this surge. Bitcoin goes up in price. Now he's a genius. He's 4 billion in profit, and now he's like the oracle again. And all of the social media stuff and all the posts about him are now he's the guy. And now it's funny you did mention it off air, Simon, is that he's now posting all of these AI videos shamelessly and like all of these memes and stuff. And I'm thinking, this is not how execs used to operate back in the day, like posting memes on X, but it's largely changing, isn't it?
Well, you're right. And also the fact, you know, what we're saying off air, he's like got his swagger back since the price has been going up, right? And suddenly he's shamelessly getting out there and doing his usual ultra super confident sort of interesting statements, one-liners, and it makes you think when he wasn't doing that so much over the last X months, maybe he was just a little bit, maybe that swagger wasn't there, maybe he was
Yeah.
feeling the heat. Anyway, he's managed to stick
Yeah,
with it.
he must have some self-doubt. Like I've noticed a
Of
trend,
course, yeah.
especially with all of the TradFi folks. I've noticed a trend because obviously his company is listed on the stock market, so he wouldn't be able to talk about the price of the stock. But it's interesting that he can talk about the price of Bitcoin, which is the asset that he's buying, because obviously it'd be classed as insider trading if he was manipulating the stock price. I think one of the things largely people miss is the fact that by buying strategy, you're not buying Bitcoin. You're buying the performance of a company, but you're buying the performance of a company that has this debt strategy, this debt leverage strategy, and doesn't earn any money. So, but it might be a good bet if Bitcoin goes up because he just keeps fucking buying Bitcoin in this infinite Ponzi scheme, which is interesting. But he's a genius when it goes up, and he's a moron when it goes down. And I just don't know really. I think the answer is probably somewhere in the middle.
I'm surprised the swing was so much from 9 billion down to 4 billion up. It's like crazy.
Yeah, it's obviously the multiplier he has. But it's interesting. He can only, because he uses debt, and he uses this like he arbitrages the equity in the stock. He can only top blast Bitcoin, and then when Bitcoin's down, he can only sell it at the lows, or he only sells it at the lows. So it's interesting. It's interesting how he's playing it, but I think it largely speaks to how fickle crypto is. It's like they question the fundamentals of all of these tokens. It's like, Bitcoin is up 22% in the last week. ETH, which is good for ETH NFTs, is up 29%, and then XRP 45%. But if you had been on the timeline and you'd seen the XRP army advocates see the price down, they question the fundamentals of it, and it's just like, guys, these things are just correlated with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up because you've got someone in the treasury who's just decided to print a load of fucking money and buy their own debt back, which in itself is some sort of a Ponzi scheme. But it is what it is because because it's increasing.
And also, Jaden, there's other bits and pieces that are going into this, isn't there? Obviously, it's that sort of debasement trade, but there's also the fact that there's a little bit more regulatory optimism. Maybe it's not completely founded, but Trump pushing the Clarity Act. I think they said that Senate procedural vote will be on September the 15th. Spot BTC ETFs are up. That it's a converging, isn't it? But I have to say, about you guys, you do wonder for a long period of time, and they say this a lot, don't they, that you wonder if it's ever going to come back. You go for months and months and months thinking, well, we've talked about this a lot. We've gone with NFTs and crypto, we've gone, God, hold in there, guys, hold in there. And it's a real kind of act of faith, I think, with crypto. You got to weather it.
Yeah, well, it's a I did a video on it earlier. It's like a sunk cost fallacy of, if you hold a token during a bear market and then there's a slight recovery, you have this infinite regret, because the thing is, now you can't let go of it because of the time you've held the token, and then it recovers, and then all of a sudden you start thinking, what if we get a bull market? Or what if it goes back up beyond all-time highs? And then it increases the chances of you ever selling the token. But hopefully it's in one of those kind of battle-hardened blue chips: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. I'm just going to, obviously, while Burge is looking at some stuff on the timeline there, obviously had a great call last night with Alex Sayer. I think largely people in the NFT community can make some really thoughtful decisions around NFT stuff. There's all this stuff happening on Robinhood, which is like the quick fly by the seat of your pants stuff. Whereas I think the historical stuff, where it just needs time to do the heavy lifting, the culturally significant art place, and some of the IPs where you can see over the last 5 years that these founders have been building something significant, might be the ones to lean into. But it was a real interesting call last night, Bud. Interesting.
What came out of it? What were some of the key?
I mean, it's interesting. It surprises me how these founders of these historical projects never had any thought of provenance. So they never thought they were creating a piece of digital history. Firstly, they either did it out of curiosity or to scratch the itch. And it was never a financial thing. You know, we spoke about, in particular in 2022, when Gary got on the timeline and then in a single day broke the OpenSea record for 10,000 transactions in a collection. So this was Crypto Skulls. I think people will remember it when it was like in the Spaces call, he was saying, right, this is the second, this is going to be significant. And we were talking largely around loads of different things, but it was like, what do you see the correlation of CryptoPunks and Crypto Skulls? One being first, the other being second. Then I kind of questioned a little bit, because sometimes people question whether it is actually the second, because there are two other projects. There's one called Pride Punks and I think Crypto Bots, but Crypto Bots was a gaming and Pride Punks was a derivative. So that's why they're classing themselves as the second ever 10K PFP. But then you look at the holder ratios of these collections, and whilst there's a few of these, you talk about a thin order book with the crypto tokens, it's much more thinner in NFTs. So Gary V last week, he sweeps 20 of these Crypto Skulls, and then you have ETH rise a little bit, and then all of a sudden the thing's up fucking 60%. And it's just like it's so sensitive to buying pressure and improved financial conditions, which is, and then, you know, last cycle it went to 4 Ethereum, and I'm thinking, and largely loads of these assets haven't really moved off the timeline. You know, is there a correlation between first and second CryptoPunks and Crypto Skulls? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm prepared to see. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Simon. I know, Burge, that you are big on the curio cards.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had Constantine, who is the community leader at Curio Cards, who was actually translating for me because he's Russian.
Yeah.
I'd
like to have been there, actually, I have to say. It would have been really good. I couldn't make it, and it would have been really good to watch 3 guys speaking Russian. And you mentioned that you asked them one simple single question, and then for 5 minutes there were these guys speaking Russian for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like, obviously last night on the call, I ask a question. I think, okay, I've got to make the questions concise because we've got a translator, and largely, you know, Constantine's English is brilliant, but obviously it's not his first language. So I'll make the questions concise, and then he can deliver it in a concise way. And I asked maybe a 1-line sentence, and the 3 guys were chatting to each other for about 5 minutes. And I was like, holy shit, these guys are going to do a hit job on me here. and then obviously there's all the stern faces, and then, or one stern face. And then they all burst out laughing. And I'm like, oh God, I'm glad he translated it perfectly right. And anyway, but it was a great call. And interesting first experience I've had of obviously using a translator. But we also spoke largely about the tribalism in crypto and how each genre, it's interesting, each genre has this tribalism, apart from the females, by the way, or so apart from the woman, by the way. I said female on the timeline the other day, and they said, no, you got to say woman, apparently, because it's fine. But they
just the way you said fine. I'll move past it. Yeah.
I'm not getting cancelled today, Simon.
Keep moving, Jaden. Keep moving.
So you saw each category pop off. So you saw the historical, then you saw the IP, then you saw the art, then you saw the photography, then you saw the woman category pop off. But largely, the tribalism, because all of the projects are usually community-led, happened in the historical communities, because you didn't have a figurehead in those communities saying, guys, don't be a bunch of ball bags. You just have a bunch of holders going, no, ours is first. No, ours has got less supply. Ours is first on chain. Ours is this. Ours is that. And people are missing the forest from the trees, because all of these things are rising optically together. Like, I can tell you right now, if people are dunking on CryptoPunk, if CryptoPunk just doesn't work, there will be no curio cards.
True.
If CryptoPunk doesn't work, there will be no Crypto Skulls. There'll be no Mooncats. There'll be none of it. There'll be no Papyrium. There'll be none of those.
Carrot Lane.
we'll pivot into comedy, Simon.
Yeah, we'll carry on.
In fact, we could probably just
We'll
make
prevail.
this a dating. We could just start making this a dating show, and people
Comedy
can just
and dating show.
That's
I
it.
think. Yeah.
That's it. Although I'm disappointed you didn't turn up in your wig this week because you were going to apply for the.
Ooh, yes.
Oh.
Yes.
The-
I'm sorry about that. I will do that next week. You said about those tribes. I was thinking you're taking it a step further and thinking it's amazing. You get a bit of an uptick in NFTs, and immediately I was daydreaming, and I was sitting there yesterday going, you know what? I've got so many bloody NFTs, and most of them are not great. But then I thought, of the ones, I've got some pretty good ones, and I was thinking, imagine myself in a year's time or whenever it might be, and I was thinking, I wonder what I would sell and what I would find impossible to sell. Because remember, you were always saying, if you only got one of something, you're part of such what becomes a very important community to you. And I was thinking, and I went through a few and I said, nope, I'll never sell that. Nope, I'll never sell that. And then maybe in a year's time I would. But for example, my mutant and my chimpers and my Claynosaurs, I was thinking, oh no, I won't. And it's quite difficult when you do that to know. And maybe you need to have a plan. In fact, you do need to have a plan at some point, an exit strategy, don't you? What are the NFTs that I would actually give up? And what are the ones I want to hold all the way through this cycle and maybe a next cycle? Because it's the community. The moment you say goodbye to that, you feel like you're saying goodbye to the community. That's why they're so bloody tough to sell.
Yeah.
Well, for me anyway.
I've just had a message from a member of the community. Firstly, just saying massive thank you for Tay for sharing the live stream. Really appreciate it. Is how the lives grow. Guys, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please just give it a share. We'd really appreciate it. But we've had Arigato has dropped me a message to say that rally feels like it was ages ago. I think people need to just extend their time horizons just a smidge, because that rally was like a life raft sent to save us. I think what people are going to do is they're going to get caught in the trap of being down in assets for a long period of time. The first liquidity pump, which is like a fucking, I'll repeat it again, life raft sent to save you. People are going to sell out of it and then have infinite regret because it's just going to keep climbing up in price. And you're like, guys, you've done all the hard work. You've done all the hard
waited
work
this long as well. And then you've jumped ship too quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to accept that there will be pullbacks anyway. NFTs.
Not like you shouldn't sell anything.
Whatever happens. No, absolutely. I have to say, I know we'll come NFTs later, but just one thing that struck me is that whatever happens now with crypto going up and down, whether we are going into a much more sustainable sort of area and time, is that with the NFTs, I just think they are catching fire and having a life of their own, regardless. I know they are affected deeply by crypto, clearly, but I do think the innovation and the development is becoming something else altogether that's separate from just being pegged to the crypto market.
I want to, I completely agree with that. I think there's more collector behavior. There was that stat that was on the timeline about, hey, there's one way to measure holder ratio, but actually what's the qualitative data of how many of them are actual collectors of your collection and have meaning to it? Because if you get flippers and traders in there, that's fine. It might create buying activity, but actual holders who want to hold on to it for a long period of time, like the chimpers, people in the chimpers say, oh, it's my forever chimp, or apes say it's my forever ape, or they say things like, once they bought the NFT, they say vaulted. And that tells you, it gives you a sense of what people are feeling about it. One of the things I want to just make reference on is last week's live stream, we spoke about World of Woman. After the live, there were a whole bunch of people that went out and bought some wows. Or I say a whole bunch of people, I think there might have been one person who swept a whole bunch of them. And it looked like it was largely based off of the live stream that we did, which is interesting because, and Bird, you could probably get this up on your screen. Adam Weitzman did a post about this to say, not the World of Women thing, but just to say, hey guys, I'm buying NFTs for my own joy. And obviously, like you say, Simon, the guy's a billionaire, so he can buy what the fuck he likes. But people are now construing that as investment advice because they think, hey, this guy's a billionaire. He's buying this, so it must be good. but some of the things he's buying to support these artists, he's not doing it as I would be surprised if he's doing it for any financial gain. I think the guy's just doing fine without buying fucking NFTs. But I'll just get it up on the screen here, and maybe you can read it out just for the viewers at home there.
Yeah, so he says, important message. Please know that I'm not even close to an expert on digital art or NFTs. I just purchase what I personally can connect with, or at times I buy and post certain collections to help bring attention to artists that might not normally get as much spotlight as they deserve. Best not to use my collecting patterns as a market indicator or as a signal that I think that the price will go higher in the future. I don't want anyone to ever lose money, so definitely do your own research before you spend your hard-earned money on anything. And this is actually similar to what Gary said back in the 2021 bull market days, where and a lot of this kind of copycat behavior was common back then, not just with Gary, but with other big collectors in the space. But Gary said a similar thing multiple times of, don't buy what I'm buying. I'm buying purely, in some instances, purely just to support artists with no actual kind of foresight of, or no expectation of return, like positive market returns or them appreciating over time.
Yeah.
Also, Gary was buying with a massive long-term thesis and a long-term horizon, which many people back then were not thinking as long-term as Gary was. And Gary was literally, he hasn't sold like a single NFT, or he hasn't sold barely any of his NFTs. He's kept them the whole time since then, and he's probably going to keep them for another 5, 10, 15 years at least.
Yeah, I was going to say as well with Adam, you see a couple of things happening. You see a lot of collections, maybe new ones, all saying, come on, we've got to try and get Adam in, we've got to try and get him, and it's kind of really lacks class, doesn't it, and a bit of style.
It's a bit beggy, isn't it?
It's a bit beggy. But he's so magnanimous and comes across such a lovely guy. He kind of knows that's going to happen. He must have had that for many years, people doing that kind of thing. But he is a little bit underplays himself. In fact, he's very much underplays himself. Am I right in saying there was a point when in his earlier career where he was actually in the art world? I'm sure I've seen that somewhere. So he's wise. But I do think he's sending out the message. He'll know more, and
he also watches
some things he cares about.
He also sporadically watches this live stream, so he's wise from that.
I mean,
he listens to you, Simon. He gets to sit back in his hobby mansion. And he looks at you and he's like, "This wealth."
I mean, I'm on
these two guys on the fringes
a week. I'm his mentor, his coach. I guide him wherever he goes. He has liked a few. There I go. That's what I'm saying. And then in reality, I go, he's actually really liked. He's liked some of my posts on X.
Yeah,
so it's like that's a big difference between.
Well, maybe we'll snippet that. We'll snippet that little clip, and then you can just tag him in it, and then.
Shall I? Yeah, that won't embarrass me at all. Yeah,
you two can be besties, mate. Just on the thing with Gary, one of his slogans with his content, and I think it drove some of the copycat behavior, is he says, "Watch what I do, not what I say," or "Do what I do and not what I say." And then obviously that translates into a whole bunch of normies following him, following his wallet, and then going, "Oh shit!" And then he said like, "Oh, all of my wallets are public," and then all of a sudden, he's just, which he's more than entitled to do, just buy his own stuff, and then people can see the things that he's buying. But the worst part of it were people airdropping stuff in his wallet, making it look like he was buying it, and then people are buying it up. It's like, what the fuck? And then obviously OpenSea's got much better at like hiding some of those scamming. Although I still get some of that stuff in my.
Yes, yeah, you have to be really careful. You do need to be really careful. I'm always double checking when I search.
Yeah.
Contract address and that kind of thing, just to make sure.
Yeah, Simon, any like kind of niche nuggets that are on the timeline at the moment? I know you're deep into the NFT stuff. You've leaned into the Robinhood stuff, which I think is amazing. I kind of feel like I think you do it for the kind of mental stimulation of getting into this newer stuff and learning about it, and you're very much an explorer. Whereas I have to learn about something and then I double down on the thing that I kind of understand.
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
agree with how I
Yeah.
agree with your approach. I mean, and I have got those sort of the NFTs with provenance, but nowhere near as much as you might have. But I think with things like Robin Hood and all these things, I don't know about you guys, but I'm fascinated by the innovation that's going on, and that's what I was saying about. I feel that NFTs they're always going to be pegged to crypto in many ways, but they are taking on a more and more sophisticated life of their own, and the innovation that's going on and being almost at the forefront of DeFi and being able to, now you're able, like I've got these stackers, this NFT, I've got
Yeah.
3 stackers, right? And I put a post out somewhere saying, I've got 3 stackers stacking stack, which is the coin, and I'm staking stack to give me 5% so I can create more stack with my stackers. So I've got this kind of like loop, and it's brilliant. We're always talking about the strategy tokens. What's
Yeah.
happening with this is I am literally earning stack, which I'm then staking, which then gives me a bigger lot of stack to get back. And I'm really enjoying finding out the technology and discovering the sort of the possibilities of it. And I think that's the interesting part for me. That's what excites me. And clearly it's where AI agents are going to be, holding their own place in NFTs, and the blockchain is the natural rails for it. So there's a huge amount for me of excitement, and I'm so pleased, and for everyone else who's hung
Yeah.
on to the NFTs. We've
Yeah.
had a lot of, I mean, even my son saying, you don't still bloody well do NFTs. He's 16. Oh, I've been looking on
Yeah.
TikTok, and it's really, they're rubbish. I'm thinking, no, they're not. And in about 6 months or a year, you're going to come back to me and you're going to go, oh, Dad, you said you would give me an NFT. Can I have one now? I can just
Yeah.
see that, because I
Well,
do feel it's going to come into its own
this
again.
is why I think because the consumer behavior is a positive one to buying the NFT, but the negative reaction is the fact that it's still an NFT, which is why I think it's gonna lend itself to people not calling it NFTs. In fact, some of the streams I've done over on TikTok, where I did one 2 nights ago, there were 450 people on this stream, and they obviously talk about various different opportunities. And for me, it's really simple. You look for outsized attention that leads to buying flows. And then the other side of that, you look at the supply. The tokens, you look at XRP's got 100 billion supply. Obviously, Bitcoin's got 21 million, which has obviously more supply friction. But some of these microcap tokens have billions in supply, and there's too many in circulation for them to be a good bet. So this stuff in the middle, you can go for the battle hard and blue chips, kind of miss out this stuff in the middle. But then you look at the supply friction of NFTs, it's insane. We just watched Gary buy a Moonbird yesterday, post on the timeline about the green eyes. The thing rallies, the whole collection rallies 70%. 70%, one sale, 70%, plus the amplified effects of ETH. It belittles anything that you get into. So it's like, and even if, I think I've got to a stage now where it doesn't actually matter about the team largely, because the communities have organized around the assets. I look at Invisible Friends. They didn't do anything. Team don't tweet for fucking 2 years. People resonate with it because it's got a bit of nostalgia from that 2021, 2022 era. They like the art, and now they're like, shit, I can buy this for whatever it is at the moment, 0.4 or whatever. It's still a fucking lot of money for a project that's basically doing nothing because you like the art. But it's the Lindy effect of,
I agree. Yes.
The people sticking together, and then all of a sudden they naturally form online together, and that one asset becomes very hard to sell, because largely the mistake that everyone made in 2021, including me, probably you, Simon, and Bird.
Yes, definitely.
You fucking bought one of each collection, and then you're like, shit, now what do I do?
And I remember, guys, I don't know about you, I was still completely amazed looking at my wallet on my phone in 2021, 2022, going, oh my God, you mean I put that tiny amount, not tiny, but relatively, and I've got over that amount of money, and I never took it. I just watched it go down beautifully down to what it was.
This will be interesting, because there'll be people watching this that will relate to that. What made you not want to sell it?
Do you know? Because usually I would be in any other industry, and I sold my business, my theatre school, and I tried to be vaguely sensible. But because it was so new to me, crypto and NFTs were extremely new to me, it was like a whole new frontier. So for
Yeah.
me, I didn't know how to compare it to anything, and I admit I got carried away. And then when you see it going down, you think, no, it'll come back up, won't it? And then
Mm,
you go past the point of no return, and because then you're so embedded in the communities, and you think, surely you stick with it.
Mm.
Well, I did. Other people very sensibly, didn't, and they did very well. But and that's just maybe it's my emotional side that was allowed me to take that kind of stance. I don't know about you two, but it was too new for me. I didn't
Mm.
know what to do with it.
Yeah, Bird, I don't know if you want to say anything, but I think largely for me is I price anchored myself to other projects that I thought were suboptimal compared to the one I was holding. So, for
mm.
example, I know, Bird, you and I are very bullish on VFriends, but I was watching Bored Ape Yacht Club go to 150th floor, and that's what I was price anchoring myself to. I was like, well, hold on a second. In my opinion, there's more established demand for VFriends, which there is, except for the fact that they weren't Web3 people.
Yeah.
So then it was like, there's lots of friction there. Now on the back end, you're seeing probably VFriends benefit from that because
Yeah.
largely the Web2 people don't give a shit about bear market, bull market, or whatever. They just want to get the collectible because it's associated with Gary. So it was the price anchoring that screwed me up because I was like,
Yeah.
And then I developed this thesis. See, I think a lot of people where you make mistakes, you develop a thesis based on stuff you can't see. So an implied utility that might happen in the future. So the thing that people were talking about was like, oh, what if he releases a coin? What if he releases a token? Then it was like, you know, away from NFTs for a second, with a lot of the coins, it's like, oh, the institutions are going to buy this. It's going to be the backbone. It's going to be the financial layer. And then without actually realizing, hold on a second, these things are just a function of financial conditions. We can see that, and you start with Jerome Powell, increased rates. It's putting downward price pressure on assets. Bitcoin is coming down. We had a long period, like a 6-week period, where Bitcoin was getting fucking crushed. And then it was just taking a little bit of time for the dog to wag the tail down here on NFTs. And you had time to react to it. There was a little spell there where I think other side did a mint, which was a little bit botched, but it fucking sucked a shit ton of liquidity out. And something didn't feel right. It didn't feel like another. But the prices were still high. So you had all this time to respond. And I think when I get that pattern recognition again, I'll definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I don't know about you guys, but when I look at how far this technology's gone. So when I look at take two examples very quickly, one very pertinent because the Del Mondos have launched their Climeta vote for 3 charities, which if you own a Del Mondo, you go in and if you've got many more, you can use like 5 at a time to vote for one of the charities. What I love is each charity pitches to you with a video and lots of reading, and you can't vote until you've watched the video.
Oh, that's
Okay,
good.
because
I like
which
that.
I think is great. And I saw a long video yesterday from the founders talking about it. But what they've done, as you know, with OpenSea, they did that collaboration and they've raised a bit of money. It may not sound a lot of money, but they got about $15,000,
It's
and
cool.
they're going to give 10%. Whatever happens, each charity gets 10%. So that's a given.
Yeah.
Of the whole lot, 90% goes to the charities, and then 10% is I think, for rewards and things. Remember, if you vote, you get rewards. It's
Wow.
kind of the incentive. And but cut long story short, what is fantastic is it's a proof of concept, the final chunk of the proof of concept, and their ambition is to be the environmental layer of crypto, the blockchain, and simply using the voting mechanism to empower people to make a choice for where finance goes into these charities. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's quite interesting how Planosaurs yesterday did their big Hebrew kind of announcement, and both are fan driven experiments, if you like, fan driven collections, because with the Planosaurs, you're voting as for putting democracy back into which entertainment gets launched on studios, and you get a cut of that. And for the Del Mundos, you vote for the the charities and all the brands come there because they have an obligation to put money in to show that they're doing what they need to do for the environment. So the reason I'm mentioning that is because I don't think 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, that would have happened. I don't think we were anywhere near that, were we?
I agree.
With thinking. So that's what's
I mean, people
very
were sending
exciting
out
about this time round.
You had a fucking 25 grand NFT and they were sending you a hoodie in the post. And it was like
and you were pretending to be absolutely amazed.
Yeah, I know. Fuck. Oh my God, this is made of real 100% polyester or cotton.
Yeah, and I got my children going, no, Dad, you're far too old to wear that bloody hoodie. Take it off. Thinking, but
one wash in and it's shrunk and you're like, shit, this stuff was made in Bangladesh or China or something. Bert, you got something to share on the timeline here. I'm just going to add it to the screen just for the viewers at home. You just want to read it out. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, it's actually a short video, very, very short.
Go on, man.
VFriends. I think you should probably include VFriends on that list, right?
Shout out to Gary V.
No, yeah. Gary V is a very important, like, people don't like give him enough flowers for how relevant he was to what NFTs are today and what collectibles are in crypto today. Like, VFriends has done a lot of really cool things.
Just interesting because Gary was recently posting about Spencer on the timeline. He said he picked up a moonbird. I don't know if you guys saw that as well. He picked up a moonbird with like a green jet.
Oh,
jet,
you were saying
New York
that,
Jets,
yes.
New York Jets, green eyes. And well, let's say one thing I'll say is it definitely feels like if we do go into a bull run this time, it feels like it is much more collaborative at the top, as in people running these projects, right, are much more in cahoots. They're much more, they want each other to win. Whereas it did feel when you go back to 2021, 2022, it felt a bit more PvP. I don't know. It could still, no doubt there will still be some drama, right? But
yeah, I agree with you.
It's funny. Sorry, Simon, go on.
I was just going to say, of course, you'll always get idiots sort of becoming ridiculous, but about other collections and sort of downing them. But it feels far more collaborative, far more supportive, probably because we've been through so much, and so have the teams.
I feel like there's almost been, I don't know if you saw it. This is going back a few months now. You know, when there was that event, I don't know if it was ETH Denver or Consensus or whatever, and someone said, I think maybe it was Luca, about like having this meeting of bringing together like representatives or the heads of projects. I have this feeling like a small group is forming of the top projects, like the people from the top projects, right? And I actually think, you know, that will actually drive new founders or other founders that aren't maybe in that top group to act more appropriately, because I think to get into that top group, you won't get there by acting like a degenerate. Like, you won't get there by bashing all these other projects around you. Even if your project seems to be doing really well, I don't think you'll crack into that top group unless those group of people respect you. And I think to get there will mean that you have to act more appropriately, which I think is, you know, a big net positive for the whole space.
No, I agree.
You know, you just brought Spencer up from Spencer Ventures. I was just searching through my messages while you're doing that. I sent him a message on 11th of February, 2024. I don't out people's messages or whatever, but I sent him a message and I just said, hey, bud, I really value your opinion. Have you got any V friends and how do you view the project? And he messaged me back to say, don't have any V friends, never had any. I don't know about it, to be honest. Gary is an important person in Web3, but they are super ugly. And then he and then he says, hard to see them coming back. And I just,
this was ages ago, right?
This was in February 2024. It's funny.
Okay.
It's funny how people view V friends outside of the community, because on a live stream less than 6 months ago, he was talking to Luca Netz and he said, you know, it's good what Gary's done. You know, he could have just sunsetted the project and let it go, but it looks like he's coming out with stuff. It's like this perception of that he's not doing anything with it, which I think is remarkable, because I think he's doing the most than any other founder. And that's just so you can see on the screen. I didn't make those messages up. They're fucking real. Go on.
That's the thing. Like, I feel like people applied the same logic to Gary that they did for a lot of other celebrities or people with big followings, right?
Yeah.
And let's not be mistaken here. Loads of people with big followings or celebrities or influencers, whatever, came into the space. They dipped their toe in, they got the bag, and then they did right outright. Gary was nothing like that.
Yeah, Tom Bilyeu.
Yep.
Ty Lopez. I mean, just name a
Yep.
few. I'm sure there's there's a whole
and someone like Tom Bilyeu, I would argue, has much more credibility than like a Ty Lopez, and yet still that didn't work out either.
Yeah.
Whereas, so I think they applied the same thing to Gary. They were like, just wait. This, like, Gary's going to dip out. He's going to sunset the project, and it will go to nothing. And actually, they didn't realize that Gary's not an influencer first and foremost. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's a businessman. So when he created VeeFriends, he was thinking long term, and he was thinking of running a business. He was not thinking of making an NFT project as lots of other people approached it. And that's what they had completely wrong about Gary.
But the beauty of the NFT is it is a contract. So if you fail on building the IP, you can pivot into the contract capability based on whatever your status is as a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, it might be that, you know, I know that who's the guy who had it before? Kevin Rose. Had a whole bunch of his VC buddies in there. Obviously, Spencer is a TradFi guy or VC in the space. He's got a lot of money to throw this thing. I think he paid 20 million for Moonbirds, but he can pivot that into, hey guys, if you're the holders here, we're going to turn this into a business networking thing, and I'm going to share, you know, some of my expertise around some of my VC investments, and maybe we catch up for like an annual lunch. Now all of a sudden, the NFT's got utility, and you can largely do anything with it, which is why it surprised me. Like a load of the founders just kind of turned away on the space because we're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't build it into an IP. I'm like, hold on a second. It can double up as anything. And the contract is not final. You can add ongoing utility and perpetuity. It's a fucking QR code on steroids.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And actually, you know, you're talking about that, and it makes me sort of think about those collections. I think we talked about World of Women last week, but you think about what Gary's doing with VeeFriends, you think about what the team are doing with Chimpers and all these and the Claimosaurs, you think, gosh, that collection had it all. Think about the celebrity backing it had. Think about the auctions at Christie's.
Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, I was completely swept up by that, and I was really behind, and I am still behind the ethos of it. And I do think has a special place in this space, but it's just been handled very badly at a leadership level on consecutive times. Actually, there's one or two people who I think would be, I mean, the team, some of the people in the teams have been wonderful and still are, but something is not happening at the top that's right. Actually, we all in our Carrot Lane WhatsApp group, we were talking about this, weren't we? And Alexander went in there and he sort of started showing some pictures of what's being said. And then I got right on my bloody high horse. I went in there and I was saying, how dare you? I was saying, right, I'm going to London next week and I'm just going to march into the offices of
Tezos.
And I'm thinking, actually, yeah, all right, maybe it's a bit over the top, but I'm going in there. I'm refusing to leave, but it's because I hate injustice. I hate people not doing the right thing. You know, the integrity of just making announcements. Having said all that, to calm myself down a bit with it all, I do wonder whether something is happening behind the scenes. Do you know? I mean, I really do, and it would not surprise me if any moment now something is announced. What you need is someone with a great vision, great ideas to take this forward, because it's just screaming out for it.
Or the opposite. Keep it
or just
simple.
Be what it is, art and all those
historical
other things. One of the other ones.
Historical art.
We always said, didn't we, that there was something, it's great style and class about it, you know, and some of the meetups were amazing, and you don't have to.
Well, me and Burge had a free night out, didn't we, Burge?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
I think we got our money back on that token anyway.
You said that was an indication that things weren't going so well, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to say that
was. Yeah, I
online,
think you
but
got the
it was
tail end
great.
of that. Yeah, but
No,
I
I
think
think
something will happen there.
I felt
As
like
a project that was known for posting events, even I would have said the same. That it
But
was
that was
it was
reflective.
lackluster, wasn't it?
That was reflective of the leadership that had stepped in. I think they're going for business meetings in London, and we might as well couple it with a little meetup for people. And I went down there myself, I think a couple of weeks before, and it was nice to meet people, but it wasn't a lot of effort, really.
yeah,
To be really honest, and so we will see
especially
what
the money
happens.
spent.
Yes.
The
But in
venue-
fairness, what I would say is the UK scene is definitely it's definitely a smaller bunch of people, right? Whereas if you've hosted an event in the US, you are expecting it to be a bit bigger. So I think, ironically, I think you actually have to put more effort in an event in the UK to make sure you tap into the people that actually are interested in NFTs and crypto.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is our events expert here, Burge. Actually, he does a very good event, and I'm sure there'll be more coming soon. Guys, just segueing slightly into, there are all these new opportunities on the timeline. Is there anything that you guys are seeing at the moment that you think looks good? Obviously, everyone missed Stonk Brokers, which rallied to like 13 ETH. It went from $15 to 24 grand, which, by the way, can never happen in any other parts of crypto. And I got people holding meme coins saying NFTs are a scam. And I'm like, guys, do you think someone who's bought a whole bunch of Stonk Brokers is now 24 grand up on each of them thinks it's a scam? They largely don't. But then also you get that tribalism within NFTs as well. So then other collections are like, see, like this grave stomping. See, look, it's down to 6 ETH now, but ETH's up, and it's like, guys, shut the fuck up. Just be happy.
Yeah, stop being so embittered. I agree. Well, I do think there's some collections on Robinhood. I do like my stackers. I did see there was also Rect have got their own collection out there.
Rect Trados.
Yeah, that looks interesting because it's such a great brand, and actually the NFTs look really, really cool as well. And each NFT has its own personality for
this is another new project.
Just come out. Yeah, I saw
literally
this.
Just come out by Alpha Centauri Kid. It's called Argonauts, and they've already had like an NFT sell, like one of the rarer NFT sell for like 5.6 Ethereum. Again, I have no idea if this would be like. This is, for me, these would all be like short term. I would never be like putting like I would never be buying some of these up and holding them long term, but maybe as a short term play they could work out.
This stuff is going to happen in silos, and it's very difficult to keep on top of it because you'd largely need to be in the Discord. The allow list, it would be something like you have to have followed and engaged, and there'll be all these hurdles. So they want to make sure that they're the kind of true fans that get into these things. Any strategies for diving on this stuff early, Simon?
The only thing I would say, and I'm not a meme holder much, but I do. Even today, I saw is it Lark Davis, the influencer who does a lot of talk. I just saw a couple of clips, and it was really interesting that he had a section where he was focusing on Robinhood, because it's obviously now on the radar beyond just this small niche NFTs. And what he was talking about was some of the meme coins. And is it Cash Cats or is it Cash Cats?
I think it is.
Yeah, that seems to be one. The one that I'm invested in, or I've generated, stacks. There are a few, and it's a bit like, what it's like. If things take off, they take off. All I've been thinking about is when I start thinking to myself, God, I need to get into coins. I go, of course I am in coins. I'm in Solana. They're just NFTs. I'm staking my coins. My Solana is in Claynosaurs. My ETH is in God knows how many. My ordinals. All these. So I think things are getting really exciting. One thing I was going to say as an aside was that tweet about, which has been verified, that X is now going to start allowing you to buy and sell with crypto. I think it's going to be stable coins to start off with, which I thought was that's X money and possible USDC creator payouts. Very interesting that's getting integrated. And someone did a Grok search and said, is this is this true? And it said, absolutely true. It's been announced.
Wow.
So you think about what happens then when crypto is fully integrated into X. It'll be slow, but it'll happen.
Yeah, I think it'll still be driven by people having more money in their pockets. But taking away the friction, you're absolutely right, on a platform that everyone is on. I think, in my opinion, and in the spirit of chucking my 2 cents on projects, I think VFriend Series 2 looks really good. I know we keep going on about it, but there's 20,000 holders. I think 83, I want to say 83% of the collection, if you look on NFT scan, shows that it hasn't moved since mint day. So you got a whole bunch of pure collectors not letting the token go. You've got a small percentage trading at the floor. We know that the floor price responds to any buying pressure. And then you just reverse engineer what the founder's doing. I was on a live stream the other day and he had about 600 people on a Whatnot stream. He does this on TikTok as well. Is that he's starting to educate them on NFTs. Like, hey guys, I know you want to get hold of this, like, because the comic books, he releases the comic books, the caps, the cards on these Whatnot streams, and they sell out in seconds. It's like bang, gone. I'm like, holy fuck, there's like 500 of these things, and they sell out like that. And he's like, right, if you want access to be able to claim some of this stuff, if you buy one of these NFTs, and this is where he's utilizing the contract layer, you can get access to the physical stuff. So they're resonating with the physical stuff. He's cross-pollinating it with the digital, and he's saying the digital is the access pass. But he's starting with VFriend Series 2, which is like at a $200 floor. The guy's got 65 million followers. He's got 65 million followers, and he's slowly getting them into the ecosystem. I'm like, fucking hell.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I can kindly see what he's doing here. And because it's a contract, if the IP doesn't work, he can do anything with the contract. And then it's like, okay, well, he can drive demand through whatever other avenue. So I just think VFriend Series 2 looks
that's
good.
a good one, because I do actually have one of those. I mean, there I am going saying about VFriends, but I have one of those. And when I grow up, I'm definitely going to get a Series 1. I tell you what I am going to get next. A little pudgy.
A little pudgy, yeah.
Yeah, because I think we've seen that there's been a bit of a surge now, and I think they're lagging a lot behind Bored Ape Yacht Club and Mutant Apes, aren't they? And they're not going away, as far as I'm concerned. And I think this is just me personally, I think I want to become part of that. I want to get into that ecosystem. And all the time I'm thinking, you're getting into a community, aren't you? You're getting into an ecosystem. You're joining something else. Opens up a whole new world. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. But I definitely waiting for one of you to give me a Series 1.
Yeah, I'll send it in the post, mate. You'll be all right.
Thank you.
I got given a little pudgy. I remember saying this on a previous live stream. I got given a little pudgy through VSP, through Vayner Sports Pass, from having a black card.
Wow.
Then ended up selling it early, and it ended up, when they came out with their token, it was worth like 100 times, like it was worth like 50 times more than what I sold it for. Like I sold it at like maybe under $1,000, and it went up to like 15,000.
No, you're probably on about
horrible.
You're probably on about Pudgy Penguins, right? Not Little Pudgy.
No. Little Pudgy went crazy.
Right. Okay.
Like the normal Pudgy Penguins went to like 60, 70 grand, I think. Floor.
Someone heard this. I was just thinking, my son's just gone outside. I can hear him, and he's probably hearing three grown men saying Little Pudgies and Pudgy Penguins. You're probably thinking, God almighty, they're insane. They're all insane. But no, I agree. I want to join that. It's time to get one. And it's getting exciting. Do you not think?
I'm just seeing the messages in our private chat, and it's got here. I think Alcides has shared that, and it says
he's got one.
No. It says, hot take. If you think this makes a good PFP, I think you've completely lost the plot. Sorry, someone had to say it. And it's a pixelated art.
Yes. And that is brilliant. And didn't the artist at the time do that as a kind of bit of a spoof at the time? I think he said he was doing it for a bit of fun a few years ago, whenever it was. And then he thought, I've been waiting for ages to actually launch this as a proper collection. I think that might be the backstory. It was originally done for a bit of fun, and now it's come out as a real thing. But people just jump on everything.
I know. I know. And then someone said in the thread something like, It's ACK the artist. He could take a shit and sell it, and it would just be worth a load. Anyway, on that note,
on that delightful note, Jaden.
On that delightful note,
lovely
sorry
thought.
about the potty mouth. We're coming to the hour here, guys. Just the 104 of you that joined us. Really appreciate all of you. If you want to listen back to the stream, you can go to carrotlane.com/subscribe. Pop your email address in. You'll never miss a live stream ever again. If that's too much effort, just go to the link in my bio. You can register through there. Pretty easy. But we'll catch you guys next week, and long may the gains continue. Simon, Burge, thank you for diving on. Appreciate the both of you. And until next week, guys, love you long time. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
See you.
Take care.